that's fine, but some people, again, have intolerance to egg whites, so they might feel very gassy, and in that case, I wouldn't necessarily use egg whites, especially if you're intolerant to it. But most people, again, actually, I should say most people are different. So some people can handle, like, I can handle egg whites, no problem. Other people I know, they eat like one egg white, they're like fucking farting all goddamn day. So it's gonna be more of a.
So what's the difference between casein and meat?
So they're both byproducts of making milk and cheese, but the rate at which they digest is going to be slower for casein and faster for whey. So you wouldn't want to have casein before you work out because it's not going to hit your bloodstream in time for you to get it utilized for your workout. And if you want to, you wouldn't want to have it like in between meals, or if you want to have it if you want to satiate yourself more on a cutting phase, that's fine. If you want to have it before bed to keep you more full before you go to sleep, that's fine. But generally speaking, around your workout, you want to have more of a whey-based protein.
So if you don't, let's say I don't want to eat dinner, I could just have a shake of that and that should be fine. Or no?
So that all comes back to the calories you want to eat per the meal, right? So again, protein should be evenly distributed throughout the day. So if you need 30 grams of protein for dinner, and you want that protein to come from casein protein, you can. You still need carbohydrates and other stuff in that meal.
Gotcha.
You can't just replace, say, 100 calories, or sorry, you can't just replace a meal of 500 calories with a 30-gram protein shake. Because 30 grams times 4 is 120 calories, so you're still missing all those other calories.
Okay.
But I'm not saying you couldn't like blend a couple bananas with casein and other stuff and get all those macronutrients together for your dinner if you want to do something like that.
Like
It's just not like ideal.
Gotcha.
Okay. Okay, so whey and casein proteins, super good. Carb powders, also very good. Okay, especially around workouts, they're faster digesting carbs, get like maltodextrin, highly cyclic branched chain dextrin is like the best thing to have during your workout because that shit hits you so fast. Okay, it's a little more expensive, but it's like if you want to have an intra-workout shake, so if you want to have something while you're working out, generally speaking, that's going to be a really fast digesting carbohydrate. And that's going to be a highly cyclic branched dextrin. It's like the best bang for your buck because it gets in your bloodstream super fucking quick. So if you find like halfway through a workout, you're hitting a lull, like you're like, oh my god, it's been a half hour. Still a half hour, I'm so tired. You do a couple sips of that branched dextrin within like 5 minutes, you're like, oh, I kind of feel a little better.
What's it called?
Highly cyclic branched dextrin. Yeah, it's
That's a long name.
it is, and it's actually it's like one of the most expensive carb powders you can buy, but it actually fucking works, so it's actually really good. Other than that, like maltodextrin, waxy maize, stuff like that, those are all pretty good sources too. Generally speaking, you want to kind of, if you're not getting highly cyclic branched dextrin, you want to kind of want to mix your carb sources because the more different kind of carb sources you have in your body will be digested at different rates. So if you have a fast digestion, that'll hit you quick, and then if you have a slower one, that'll hit you more steadily throughout the workout. So if you don't want to buy the expensive highly cyclic branched dextrin, you can mix waxy maize and maltodextrin together. You actually get a good release of carbohydrates throughout your entire workout as opposed to just all at once or slower throughout the entire workout. Make sense? So carb powders are great, whey and casein are great. Creatine, one of the most studied supplements out there. Super good for you, okay? Creatine is the first line of energy you're going to use for everything, okay? Whether you're sprinting, lifting, running, anything. Within the first 3 to 5 minutes, you're simply using creatine for energy. Your phosphocreatine system is the first line of energy your body will use. Okay, so having topped off creatine stores is really important if you're an explosive athlete especially. So if you're a sprinter, Olympic weightlifter, powerlifter, creatine is super important. But just in general, if you're trying to have some sort of power output for any given amount of time, creatine is really important. 3 to 5 grams of creatine per day should be enough to top off all your creatine stores. Or if you're eating a significant amount of red meat, that's also going to have you high levels of creatine. Because creatine is found in red meat. If your diet's lacking in red meat, that's when you really want to supplement with creatine. So like Pete, eating like 2 ribeyes a day, probably fine. Doesn't need to supplement with creatine. Getting plenty of it from the ribeyes. If you're eating a lot of ground beef a day, also fine. If you're just eating turkey, chicken, tilapia, and other fishes and shit like that, which is disgusting.
And what is that? Like a pill or a powder?
It could be either. So if you can do the powders, you can do pills. There's tons of different sources of creatine.
And if you get the powder, you mix it with the rest of the powder.
Yeah, mix it with the rest of the powder drinks. Have it right before you work out. Totally fine.
If you supplement with like a pill or powder or creatine and you don't use it, how does you pee it out?
No, your body will still absorb it. So you still have it in your muscle ready to use if you need it.
Like the next day?
So any kind of movement of your muscle is going to start getting extended. So just walking, you'll use creatine as your first line of energy.
Instead of.
No, that's just what your body uses.
I thought creatine just increased the water volume in
Nope.
muscles.
Your phosphocreatine system is the first line of energy any of your muscles use. So when I take a step, my muscles are working to pick up my leg and move forward. So I'll use a tiny little bit of creatine. If I'm trying to do a 250-pound bench press, it's going to use a lot more creatine because a lot more muscles are being used. But again, overall, phosphocreatine is first. After you're done using all your body's creatine, which usually takes about 3 to 5 minutes, if you're lifting hard or working out hard, in the first 3 to 5 minutes, you use basically all your body's creatine. Then, after that, you go to glycolytic, which is you're using your body's sugar. That's about 15 minutes. After that, you go to oxidative. That's when you start breathing heavy. Your body starts using oxygen
What
to
happens
help.
after a minute for me?
Huh?
Just second.
So those are your 3 energy systems that your body uses. Phosphocreatine, glycolytic, and then oxidative. Okay, so that's like marathon runners. They're not using a ton of glycogen because they've used up all their glycogen right away. That's why they're always doing those goo packs, trying to get more sugar into their body so they can use sugar as opposed to just using oxygen. Because oxygen is not as effective as sugar is. Okay? And if they were smart about it, they'd be using creatine and glucose, but they're also not trying to be super explosive yet because they're trying to maintain a pace over a long period of time. Sprinters, powerlifters, those guys need creatine because their whole sport is about power. And it might take you 3 seconds to do a snatch or a clean and jerk, right? But those 3 seconds, your body's using so much muscle. A lot of muscle's creatine is being used right away.
Is there a downside to taking creatine?
There is no notable downside to taking creatine.
Can you overdrink it or no? Like you
So,
only need that much?
It's all you need, 3 to 5 grams. If you take more, it doesn't matter. If you take less, it's not going to be as efficient. Okay. The only downside might be a little bit of water retention. Like people saying before, it does drive intracellular water, but if you don't care about adding a little bit of water to your body, it's not going to be the end of the world.
So should I take creatine before the workout?
Yeah. So if you make one of those like shakes I talked about, you can do a powder.
Does that have flavor? Creatine has flavor?
Generally it comes unflavored. There are some brands that make it flavored too, but if you have like a chocolate protein and a chocolate, or if I'll do a chocolate protein, like generally this car powder will be unflavored and the creatine will be unflavored. Just shake it over there, just like chocolate.
You don't taste it?
Yeah, just like chocolate. It's fine.
Ah.
Or if you can get there, they do make, there are companies that make like flavored ones too, but they're usually like fruity flavors, which I'm not a huge fan of. Or you
What
can
is creatine made of? Like what is that?
creatine is the molecule itself.
Oh really?
Yeah. And generally speaking, like you can also, if you don't like the taste of it for any given reason, you can also get the, like I think Allie, you have pills, right? For creatine? Okay. Bless your pills. I had pills for a long time. They're kind of big, like horse-sized pills. Creatine's like a powder. So
I rather just scoop.
yeah, it's like 2.5 grams per pill. So.
Oh, can you open the pill and put it on the thing?
I mean, theoretically, you could do it. There's nothing
Oh.
outside of that. But I would just like take with my morning vitamins, just throw them in there. So,
The
they're
powder's cheap. You just get the.
yeah, it's like one of the cheapest supplements too. Like you can go on, like I get most of my shit from True Nutrition. Like you can get a bag of like, I think it's like 2 grams a serving. It's like 150 servings for like $14.
Really?
Yeah, it's like super stupid.
You're gonna-
What's the brand?
What was it?
True
Website?
Nutrition.
What did you shop? What was it?
True Nutrition. I'm not sponsored by them, so I get no kickback from them, unfortunately. But like they sell bulk supplements. So like if you want whey protein powder, you want hemp protein powder, they have like all non-labeled proteins. Like if you buy supplements from a company, like say like Optimum Nutrition or something like that, you're paying for the supplement, but you're also paying for the brand, the label.
Yeah.
Okay. This is all off-label stuff, so it's just the pure protein powder, just the pure creatine powder, just whatever you get. And like, because you're not paying for a brand, it's a lot cheaper.
Oh, cool.
So like, if you buy protein powder, I always recommend buying from True Nutrition just because like it's per pound. If you're buying per pound, and the more you buy, the more you get discounted. So if you buy 10 pounds, you get a 10% discount, and each pound is 14 servings. So if you buy 140 servings, you might get like it might be like $120. So it's less than $1 a serving.
Sorry. For something like creatine, to really like reap benefits, do you have to take it every day, or can you just choose?
Ideally, you take everything.
Mm.
Yeah. Again, it's not a lot. I mean, the scoop is like this big. It's like nothing. If you take the pills, it's a little more. But yeah, it's always considered. Every time you take a step, you're using a little bit of creatine. And if you're walking all fucking day, you might be using a lot more creatine than someone who's just sitting at a desk job all day. But if you're working out in here, within 10 minutes of your workout, you pretty much use your entire body's creatine stores. Okay, so it's good to replenish those. And if you're not eating a significant amount of red meat, or a sufficient amount of red meat, I shouldn't say. You don't eat a ton of red meat when you get creatine. But as long as you're eating a sufficient amount of red meat, you don't really need to supplement with it. But if your protein diet is basically from like white meats and stuff like that, and fish, turkey, white meat, fish, whatever, you're probably not getting enough creatine in order to fuel your workouts.
I'm
Make
gonna,
sense?
so I should see the difference when I said.
The last one is caffeine. Caffeine is also very well studied, very well proven to be a very effective supplement.
And it's diuretic.
It's not actually a stimulant. So most people think caffeine jacks you up, right? It stimulates you. It doesn't actually do that. So what caffeine does is it decreases the binding affinity for tryptophan. You know what? Watch Seinfeld? Never? No?
I saw one. I mean, I used to watch it.
So
but
the
I
very famous Seinfeld episode where Jerry and George end up drugging Jerry's girlfriend so they can play with their toys.
doll, right?
Tryptophan's in turkey.
Tryptophan's in turkey.
Makes you sleepy.
So tryptophan
Makes you
makes you
sleepy.
sleepy, right? So your body looks at your receptors that tryptophan binds to, and then your body makes tryptophan itself. That's how you get drowsy and tired and stuff like that. So you do get more of it if you eat like food like turkey and like wine and stuff like that will have tryptophan in it. That will cause you to get more tired more quickly. But basically, caffeine will stop the binding affinity to the receptor for tryptophan. So you basically don't feel as tired. So it's not actually stimulating you, it's actually making you feel less tired. Okay, so it's not like cocaine or something like that where it's actually going to actually stimulate like parts of your body that makes you feel jacked up and makes you feel like you want to go.
Well, some people, what they say, I mean, it doesn't really bother me, but I know, like, caffeine gives people jitters and stuff.
Yeah, that's because you're not used to feeling like you're used to feeling tired. You're not tired at that point.
But coffee makes, if I drink coffee at night,
Yeah,
I
what is
can sleep well.
It's interesting.
See, so that's what we're talking about next. So the problem with caffeine is that your body is very good at getting adept to having it. So what happens is if you're fucking up the binding receptors for all that tryptophan, your body still wants to be tired. Like your body, it's basically like you're camouflaging your tiredness with this other chemical. So what your body does, it makes more receptors for tryptophan. So your body's like, well, if I'm having all this caffeine, I guess I'm gonna make more receptors. So tryptophan finds a way to get in there and make you tired. Okay, regardless of how much caffeine you drink. So if Carla's so used to drinking caffeine and coffee, her body's like, fuck it. Like if I can't find any receptors, I'm gonna make new ones. And then so that's why you get very adept at having coffee. And then it's why when you stop taking it, you get so much more tired. Because now you have twice as many tryptophan receptors, and then all that tryptophan is binding to all of them, and you're like, oh my god, I'm dragging so much right now because I've had coffee today. It's just because you're feeling the tired that you would normally feel to the extreme because you spent so much time trying to stop yourself from feeling tired that now your body's like, well, now we're gonna be extra tired. Does that make
Can
sense?
you put that creatine in your coffee?
Yeah, theoretically.
Oh.
There's no problem with that.
Heat doesn't break down the protein, or heat doesn't break down the protein?
For what, coffee?
Yeah.
Oh, creatine's not protein.
Oh, right, okay, so then it doesn't matter.
Yeah, it's not.
Oh, protein you can have with hot meals?
No, protein's pretty hard to break down.
Oh.
Like, if it doesn't get broken down, it's broken into amino acids, which your body will use anyway. So it doesn't matter.
Gotcha.
So like, a lot of people with something like collagen protein too, for like joint health and stuff like that, and people put that in coffee all the time. It's sort of fun. Again, it just breaks down the building blocks of amino acids, and then go to your bloodstream, and they suck them and catch stuff. So these are like the 4 supplements that I really recommend people start with. There are other ones that I talk about EAA powders and stuff like that. Those are more for like very specific circumstances, like if you're a bodybuilder and you're trying to make sure you get enough amino acids to go through your body. If you're eating a balanced diet, you should have that anyway. But if you're like 380 pounds or 280 pounds or 300 pounds, like you need a lot more meat and a lot more amino acids going through your body than you would otherwise. So that's why those things happen for more extreme cases. All right, I'm starting to lose my voice. So, questions?
I think people call them BCAAs.
Yeah, BCAAs. BCAAs are basically a lesser version of EAAs. So EAAs are the essential amino acids. BCAAs are branched chain amino acids. So they do have some EAAs in them, but generally not in the ratio that is ideal for your body. So before we knew about like the importance of EAAs, BCAAs were like the shit. Everyone like drink BCAAs. Now we know that there's EAAs which are more essential like leucine and stuff like that require you to have less, or to take less powder and just the specific powder that you need more than the other stuff. So like, how do I describe this in the best way possible? EAAs are like, EAAs are like exactly what you need. BCAAs are like exactly what you need and other shit that you don't need as much of. So they're more expensive, or EAAs are more expensive, but it's exactly what you want. BCAAs are less expensive, but it's not all of what you want.
And at when do you time eating?
So EAAs are good like while you're working out. So if you were to have so say you need intra-workout carbs. So say you don't want to eat before you work out, but you want to have a carb shake while you're working out. EAAs would be a good idea because they're already the broken down source of protein.
Also for me in the morning when I'm on time to work
Yeah.
out.
So again, if we're trying to have a balanced approach to dieting, the best way to do it would be to have the carbs and protein before you work out, and then carbs and protein after workout. If you don't want to eat anything before you work out, and you don't want to feel too full while you're working out, carb powder plus EAAs is going to be good because it's going to help fight catabolism while you're working out and fuel your workout. And then you want to have protein immediately after workout in order to get those calories in from that as well. Because EAAs generally don't have a high amount of calories either.
And then have the protein meals after.
Because these EAAs are already broken down, your body doesn't need to break them down. As far as like the calorie dosage from those is very minimal.
And you can take just the creatine like first thing in the morning, and even if you're working out in the evening.
Yeah, totally fine.
How far into this commitment can you have a cheat day?
So,
Right, that's a good question, right?
no, I mean, it's a fine question. So, I mean, again, cheat days are like, the bad thing about cheat days is like, they're for special occasions. Okay? They're not gonna make or break your diet most of the time, as long as you're having them infrequently. So like, if you're like, oh my God, it's my 6-year anniversary with my wife or my husband, like, I'm gonna go to
So
dinner.
once a year, you say?
No, I'm not saying once a year. I'm saying like for special occasions, holidays, like
Okay.
fucking birthdays, shit like that. Like, it's
But
still
will your body bounce back? Like, let's say Thanksgiving is coming up.
yeah, as long as your approach is the same, like those meals aren't gonna make or break you. But if you're having a cheat meal like every 3 days, like yeah, that's gonna start to shift those calories towards the higher end of the spectrum, right?
Sure.
Yeah.
So gaining 2-3 pounds between, like, if you committed and then losing it 2-3 pounds,
So,
that's normal?
okay. So everyone always says that, right? So this is gonna be a little bit of a tangent, but so people are like, oh my God, I had a cheat meal, I gained like 4 pounds overnight. Did you actually gain 4 pounds?
No, you get a lot of water
You
weight.
gain a lot of water weight. So think about it. If a pound is 3,500 calories,
It's like really hard to do.
did you eat 15,000 calories in that one meal? I mean, if you did, I'd be incredibly impressed. Because I tried to eat 10,000 calories in a day for a challenge once, and I could not do it. I got like 7,500, and I was like about to throw up. So, like eating that many calories in a meal would be almost impossible unless you're like a competitive fucking eater. Because I've seen some guys on YouTube do some crazy shit. But other than that, it's like you gained a little bit of you might have gained a little bit of fucking water weight. You might have like bloated a little bit, but it's not gonna make or break you. But if you do it consistently enough, it will fuck up your diet and results. Like if you're eating an additional, say, 1,000 calories a couple times a week, like say twice a week, that's an additional 2,000 calories. So the only way to mitigate that is to subtract 2,000 calories from somewhere else. And if you're eating a balanced diet, where the fuck are you gonna take that from? Right? Especially if you're on a maintenance phase, like or on a cutting phase, like you might have just fucked up your cut for a couple weeks. You might have just set yourself back 2 extra weeks. And if you're on an aggressive cut, do you really want to cut for 2 more weeks because you fucked up for 2 weeks because you had 2 meals that were shitty? Like, in my opinion, it's not worth it.
I mean, when I was doing your diet during my cycle time, I would gain weight just because it's more.
But yeah, that's hormonal fluctuation, so that's not going to be real weight that you gain. Because you notice after the cycle was over,
Yes,
your weight was
drop
way
down,
back
yeah.
down. It might even be less than before you started.
Yeah.
So that's
Those changes will happen.
yeah, those changes will happen normally, especially for women. Like guys don't really have that problem because we don't go through the monthly cycles like you guys do. But yeah, for women, they're going to fluctuate in body weight closer you get to that cycle. Because your cycle is actually like, I think it's actually like 28 days long, which is like, it's like basically the entire month.
Yeah,
right?
I can wait for menopause.
The entire month you're at some phase of cycle. And like the bloating only happens during like 5 or 6 months days. But yeah, your body's like constantly going through cycles every month, so it's like
So
gonna fluctuate.
I shouldn't be worried about the scale. Like, it's
You
more-
shouldn't really scale during that time. Because again, that's only a very specific amount of time, like usually about like a week out of that 4-week month, is you're gonna experience that bloating side effect of your cycle, generally speaking. Again, some women might be bloated for longer than 7 days or less than 7 days. Some women might get bloated at all. It all depends on the woman. Also depends on like whether you're on birth control or not on birth control or stuff like that.
Yeah.
Since it can all affect hormones that you're running through your body all at any given time. I just often don't suggest women take birth control because
I think men should take birth control instead of women.
well, yeah, birth control is basically steroids. So I don't know if you want to just jack guys right around, fucking extra horny, but you think you're pregnant, you're great.
That's great. That's perfect. I need to find a man like that.
I mean, if you think about it, like, there's like for a guy, like when guys take exogenous steroids, they actually lose their ability to create their own sperm. So
That's
they actually
true.
become less fertile because they're on drugs. Which, like, if you were to make up a male birth control, it would essentially be like a steroid that would shut down your own body's production of sperm.
Sure.
But you still want to keep your testosterone levels.
Is that why they don't do it for men?
Yeah, I mean, I know they're working on stuff like that now for men, but like, I mean, it'd be really hard to do without that side effect of like making you gain muscle and stuff like that. So, because again, you need to be able to shut down your body's production of sperm, but keep your body's testosterone level optimal. So those two things kind of don't go hand in hand together. But yeah, cheat meals are again, they should be. I don't like the term cheat meal really. It should be like more like untracked meal or like a free meal or something like that.
That's a good term. She's right.
Because like cheating kind of gives it this like notion that it's like, oh, I'm being bad.
Yeah.
Having this fucking meal that's like not supposed to have. But like, I'm not telling you guys to like just like avoid all foods that you love to eat all the time. I'm just saying try to have it in like more moderation. Because like the biggest issue I see with people nowadays is like they become like addicted to the feeling of eating, right? So it's not like you're not necessarily addicted to food itself. You're addicted to like the feeling that food gives you. So that's like one of the biggest things that our country and our culture kind of harp on is like that, like, oh, we all sit together at a table and we eat like this fucking big family dinner every Sunday or whatever, and it might be like a 2,000 calorie pasta, pizza, bullshit,
Yeah.
and you get like addicted to that feeling of being with your family. But there's like other things you can do with the family that give you that same feeling without like increasing your body weight, increasing your fucking fat mass. Like, you guys can all go on a walk together and chat about your week. You know, like, it's
But
not.
try to get the whole family to do that.
It's really hard for like.
You rather bring them with meals.
Well, like you guys are lucky. You guys are all relatively young, and you guys aren't like part of like a generation before where those were like a lot more common. But like yeah, it's hard to change older people's point of view on like that stuff because that's how they live almost their entire lives, right? So if you're 75 years old, turn to be like, oh, Grandpa, let's go for a fucking walk instead of having this huge family dinner. Like he's earned that fucking family dinner by now. He's like he's on the back nine. He's like, I don't give a fuck about how I look right now. I'm just gonna eat whatever I want. Fucking, like it's fine. Like, but like you guys have the advantage of being younger and like knowing more than they know now. Because again, the fucking dietary guidelines back in the day were the food pyramid was like eat fucking 10 servings of fucking rice and bread a day, and like have like 1 serving of fucking protein like every 4 days, like, and then like have butter with every fucking meal. It's like the dietary guidelines are such bullshit. It's ridiculous. It's basically who can pay the government the most money, or who can FDA the most
But the
money.
food was less injected with so much chemicals too.
That too. So again, this diet, again, it's got a little more free reign to it. So like you guys can pick your carbohydrate sources and your protein sources and stuff like that, no problem. But you can also like just focus on whole foods. Like that's what I usually recommend. Like, I mean, even if you're getting rice out of a fucking ready-made rice bag, like they really haven't done that much shit to it. Like it's just rice. But if you get like a fucking Rice Krispie treat, now they altered that rice a lot and added a bunch of other chemicals and bullshit to make it congeal together and last for 10 years so it doesn't fucking rot. Like, and yeah, I mean, there's been a bunch of shit about fucking cooking oils and stuff nowadays. Everyone's fucking losing their shit about seed oils. But like, if you just eat regular food all the time, like healthy like vegetables, meats, stuff like that, you're gonna get that seed oil bullshit. And you're gonna just be happier and healthier. It's like.
I mean, I save a lot of money
Like
with this diet.
the biggest thing I get when people start my diet is like the first week after they start it, they're like, I feel better. It's like, no, you don't. You just don't feel like shit because your baseline was shit. Like everyone's used to feeling like crap, and so much so that you just think it's normal. You're like, oh my god, I'm walking around, you're tired at 2 o'clock, and those people saying yesterday, like, what happens if I eat carbs at like 2 p.m. I feel like I want to take a nap. Like that's not normal. Like your body doesn't want to just shut down if you're eating carbohydrate.
It is when you get old.
I mean, believe me, I love a good nap like anyone else does. But like, I feel like I earned my nap by fucking working out hard and being like, oh my god, my body's fucking exhausted. I need to take an extra 20 minutes. But like, if your baseline is crap, when you stop eating crap and you start eating just like regular food that's like grown in the earth or made from fucking animals, like you're like, oh my god, like I just lost like 3 pounds of bloat. Like, I have more energy to have a day. Like, I feel great. It's like, this is how you should feel every day. It's like, this is like, if you were like a primitive man eating fucking like mammoths and fucking fruit under the ground, or fruit from the trees and fucking roots from the ground, you like feel like that every day. You might be a little more scared of like, oh, shit trying to kill you, but like, other than that, like, you feel pretty good most of the time. And that's how you should feel. And like, it's hard for people to go back to feeling like crap when they get used to feeling good. Like, I have one client, I'm not gonna say who it is because I don't wanna ruin anybody's confidentiality, but this guy used to drink like 6 nights a week. It was actually 7 nights a week. And like, to excess. Like, borderline where I was like, bro, you might be an alcoholic. Well, it wasn't actually alcohol, just enjoy drinking. And I got him to be like, dude, this diet's not gonna progress to the point you want it to. Like, he was progressing because I started him at a lower calorie base, Because again, actually, we didn't really talk about alcohol here, but alcohol is 7 calories per gram of alcohol. So it's in between protein and fat. It's a little less than fat, a little more than protein and carbs. But for every gram of alcohol in your alcoholic beverage, it's 7 calories. Okay. That's why when you see like the global ultras where it's like only 2 grams of carbs, but it's still 100 calories, it's like, well, that's only like 8 calories. Where the other fucking 92 come from? Alcohol. Okay. But it also has catabolic effects, so it stops you processing and building muscle. It also makes you feel like shit. So I like alcohol for that reason. But I got him to only drink 2 nights a week. And now when he drinks, he's like, God, I fucking hate drinking.
He gets
Like-
drunk quick?
Huh?
He gets drunk quicker?
He does get drunk quicker too, for sure. But he also like doesn't like drinking anymore. Like he'll do it still sometimes because like to be like social and stuff like that. But like the next day he's like, I feel like fucking shit. I just don't like drinking like I used to. It's because you were used to feeling like shit every day, and now you don't drink every day, so you're used to feeling good every day because you're eating a healthy diet. You're not drinking. Like yeah, he still has like edibles sometimes, but that's fine. Like because those things don't have like terrible, long-lasting effects on your bodies. And he can still alter his state of mind, which is obviously the thing he wants to get out of it. But if he can get out of edibles as opposed to getting out body fucking up effects of alcohol, like I prefer that over the alternative. My problem with edibles is sometimes you guys binge because you get some of these little munchies from it. But once in a while, it's not the end of the world. But yeah, once you get to this point where you're like, oh, this is a really good diet, and I feel really good on it, you're not gonna want to change. Like, that's the best part. Is like you might have like oh, I'm gonna have a cheat meal. It's gonna be awesome. I can't wait to eat it. And you have like a fucking slice of pizza or like 2 slices of pizza. You're like next day you're like, I don't feel that good. Like I kind of feel like tired and groggy, and my body kind of feels like crap. And before you would have felt that way already, but that's how you feel every day. So you're like, okay, whatever. Like this is just daily life, like, whatever. But like I'm saying never eat that stuff. I'm just saying like, if you eat it once in a while and you notice that it fucks with you when you eat it, maybe that's not the best food for you. Or maybe you eat it like more moderate. So if you have like 3 slices of pizza, maybe like 1 would be better than 3. Because maybe you won't feel like complete crap the next day if you eat 1. Or you go to Wendy's and you get like a spicy chicken sandwich and like an order of fries and a large Coke and you feel like complete shit the next day. Maybe you should get the sandwich next time instead of the fries and the Coke.
Go to Chick-fil-A.
Yeah, or Chick-fil-A. You never know. That's all white meat chicken. And the cool thing about this diet is that it basically, if you do it correctly and you feel good, you're gonna start noticing what foods make you feel like shit, and then you'll know to avoid those foods.
And you
Because,
probably
like,
sleep better too.
Yeah, you'll sleep better, totally. But like, again, that's one of the biggest things. People don't know what makes them feel shitty if they always feel shitty, right? So you might notice that alcohol makes you feel shittier, or that fucking steak makes you feel shitty. Like again, there's regular foods make you feel shitty too. It's not just like all the artificial flavors and shit like that. Those things can make you feel bad too. But you might notice you're allergic to egg whites, like we were talking about Pete before, where it's like, if he has egg protein, he might fucking fart up a fucking storm. But if I have it, I'm totally fine. So like, it doesn't just apply to artificial foods, or not artificial, like foods that are artificially made and shit like that. But it could apply to maybe some people might not be able to digest rice correctly, or potatoes correctly, or anything like that. So this is a good way to just like start to figure out what your body likes and doesn't like. Right? And that's an important part of being like a healthy human being is like, what can I eat that makes me feel good? And what can I eat because it makes me feel like shit? Any more questions?
And you'll feel good when you lose weight and you gain.
Yeah, and you'll be healthy too. It's just like, generally speaking, very good to be healthy, right?
Now, when is your recipe book coming out?
My 3 recipes that I made. Okay, you don't want a recipe book for me, don't worry.
Thank you, Pat.
Thank you,
Thanks,
Pat.
Pat.
I hope you guys
You
learned
really
something.
opened up eyes a little bit, a lot more.
If you guys want to take pictures of this board, please
I
do
did.
it now. I know I like rambled on a lot of this shit.